I'm Faye, and Heather helped us actually buy the house that we currently own right now.
I'm Jacob, or Jacob T, and Heather has now helped me buy 2 homes. So I had an outstanding experience working with Heather both times. The first time I was a new homeowner. I'd never bought a home before and I did not know what I was doing at all. And Heather totally walked me through the process and made it much easier. I had a lot of questions. She was extremely responsive. She was very patient. I switched to Heather because I'd had a real estate agent prior to her who did very little. And no matter what house I looked at, he said, bid as much money as you possibly can for every house. That was always his recommendation, put in as much money as you possibly can for every single house. And I was like, this doesn't take much strategy on your part. Like, clearly you get the biggest commission and I spend the most money. I'm not loving this. And I would just walk into a house and like, he would just stand there and he wouldn't tell me anything about the house or walk around with me or point anything out. And eventually I was like, this is terrible. And then Heather was like the complete opposite. Heather would come with me into every house and point things out, things that were pluses or things that were minuses for the place. She also had great ideas like, oh, if you bought this place, you could do this or you could make this change here. She totally went the extra mile. Like if I was curious about the schools in a certain district, she'd look into it. If I was curious about if there was something about an HOA, she'd look into it same day. And then I kept getting outbid, but there was this condo complex that I really liked. I looked at a couple of condos. And then Heather, without me even saying anything, Heather literally went door to door and knocked on like over 100 doors in the condo complex until she found somebody who was like, oh, I'm gonna sell the house soon. She said, oh, would it be possible for me to bring in my client? Could they look before you put it on the market in case you don't have to go through the process? She said, yeah. So I looked, we made an offer and it was accepted, immediately. So, and it wasn't like, what's the most you can put in? She was like, here's what I think is a reasonable offer and the best for you. And she was right. And it was a good offer and was accepted. Heather walked me through all the next steps. So that was great. I loved that at the closing, she brought me champagne and brought me flowers. And she was very like celebratory. So that was wonderful. So I had no doubts about using Heather when I wanted to buy another home. So then we started looking at houses and found a house and put a bid on it. And Heather helped us get it for way under asking. It was like $140,000 under the asking price. And she worked really well with the selling agent to get us the best possible deal. And then not only that, we would have ended up with something like a 6% mortgage rate. And that's what we were expecting. And she connected us with a banker who got us a 3.75% interest rate, which was way better than what anybody else was offering. We would have never discovered that this program even existed. That banker is great. We're really happy with it. She got us our handyman who connected us with a contractor. Heather helped me find a property manager for my condo. So Heather has just been wonderful. I've referred her to a number of friends and I think she's awesome.
Yeah, she's gone way above and beyond any realtor, really.
I've even had a couple patients, I'm a therapist and psychiatrist. I've even had a couple patients that I thought were interested in real estate and I would tell them about Heather. I'd be like, you should be like this. Like, this is what you should aspire to, like, be like her.
I 100% agree with what Jacob says. And also, another thing that Heather did, which, no realtor would do, was that like I'm managing this renovation project of the house. And we had some things with we had to talk to the contractor a couple of times. We had some kind of communication fall downs that we had to kind of work through and talk through. So Heather gave me some really, really good advice and she didn't have to at all. I just called her up and immediately, within I guess the next 5 minutes, she got right on it. And she's amazing. She's amazing. Yeah. She's been working when we were looking for homes, she was even giving us information on Saturday, Sunday, nights, days. It was sometimes she would even send us things around 10:30 at night on a weekend. She's really, really great and motivated and dedicated. really nice.
Yeah, I love everything you're saying. I would add, I found Heather to be incredibly professional,
Yes.
friendly, super responsive, patient. Also, when I bought my condo, I think she has a really good sense of style and design. So she gave me the idea to do like accent walls. So we had a beautiful like blue wall in the living room and a beautiful yellow wall in the bedroom, and it made it much more fun. And I wanted a little more office space, and she had an idea that I never would have thought of. I took out one of the closets and made it into an office space with a stand-up desk. And when I had a shelf for a stand-up desk, and that was my office, and I loved it. And then we closed the closet door and it went away. So that was brilliant. I never would have thought of that. When I bought my condo, there was this tiny little window between the living room and the kitchen, and you could hardly see it at all. And she was like, why don't you just open that up and make it much more expansive? And we did, and that made it a lot better. So she had a lot of good ideas.